right. Good morning, everybody. Freedom Team, it's good to have you in the house. Welcome. Turn on your cameras if you can. If you are a guest with us, not part of Freedom Team, not part of EXP, welcome. You're always welcome. We do this every Tuesday. We've done this now for about 3 years, I think, Kathy, something like that. We're coming up on 3 years, and just some great stuff. I mean, I don't know. We've just picked up so much business over the years, just from nuggets and things that we'll learn from all you guys on here as we all start throwing out questions and ideas, different things that we're doing. But today, Mike and Renee. Mike, do you pronounce it Friedrich or is it Friedrich?
That's
Friedrich, there you go. Mike and Renee Friedrich. They've been with EXP for 8 years. Mike's been in business for 20 years. Renee's been in business for 17. So kind of like my wife and I. I'm 22 for me, 19 for her. So 3 years later, she came in to rescue me because I was dying. I was, whatever, 72 deals my third year. And oh my goodness, it about just put me under in the grave. But she rescued me. So we formed a husband and wife team, and then we brought other people along with our team and have done well ever since. But that's kind of their story. But again, been with EXP for 8 years now, doing great. And I called up Mike here about a month ago, said, Mike, I saw your training in EXP World and EXP University. I'm like, come on over. We'd love to have you do it. So Mike, we appreciate both you and Renee being here today. I know this just doesn't benefit you guys in any way at all. Not part of Freedom Team, but that's kind of how EXP rolls. Everybody just playing together, collaborating together. It's a great piece of our culture here. So anyway, thank you guys for being here, both of you. Okay, go ahead, take it away.
Of course.
I'm going to start sharing our screen, Mike, but I think this is the Mike show for once. So I'm just going to move the slides along.
So just to play while Renee gets the screen up, we each, as our cultural commitment for the Icon program, decided to teach a class, and I'm more on the back end, so I decided to teach a class on the numbers. That's the one that Jeff noted. That's typically an hour class, and then Renee taught a class on growing your business from your database and growing that database and people that you know already. So we're going to split the presentation. I'm going to go a little shorter on the numbers, so I'm not going to put you to sleep here in the next 30 minutes. And then Renee, the powerhouse, is coming in and teaching some database stuff at the end. And then obviously, if you want to stop me anytime with questions, go ahead. I think that's easier, because if we wait until the end, then it may be more difficult to address the question. So if you, Jeff, maybe just stop me if you see something in the chat, and then I'll address the question. So learning your numbers to earn more business. I think that's one side of the business that people try to neglect and don't put as much focus on it, but that's also a very easy side of the business that lets you set yourself apart from your competition and really provide value to your client, whether it's a buyer or a seller. So, and then Renee, like we said, is going to go into your sphere later. And then obviously we already said that we want this to be interactive, so go ahead and raise your hands, put your questions in the chat box, and then we'll address them right away.
Sorry.
David, the program. And sometimes, like I said, talking about numbers can make agents feel some of these things, like concerned, stressed out, intimidated, anxious, uncertain. Put a lucky number 7 in the chat if that's you. Nobody. Perfect. Okay, so nobody's stressed.
Everybody loves numbers here.
Okay.
Our work is done.
Yeah, there we go. Oh, there's a 7. Voila. But our goal is, of course, today that we're gonna make this easy, and so you're not stressing out, and also give you some insight on where do I get those numbers, and how do I do it if I don't have my own numbers, things like that. So go ahead, Renee.
This is us.
A little bit about us. Jeff already alluded. We are a husband-wife team. We work in the greater Sacramento area. We live in the foothills up on the way to Lake Tahoe. Door to door from our front door to South Lake Tahoe, 90 minutes. So that's awesome when there's no snow and no traffic.
It's super funny. Jeff said that his wife rescued him in real estate, and we actually live in a town called Rescue. So
that's right.
Yeah.
That is our town of about 2,500 people.
So nobody's ever heard
June,
of Rescue California. Nobody can rescue California. Let's just be real, but that's where we live, Rescue California. So
exactly.
yeah.
So, and I told Jeff earlier, we going back and forth with building a team. Right now, it's just Renee and I, a virtual assistant and a very part-time showing agent. The goal next year is to obviously build this a little bit. So let's go dive into the course. We're going to go over your own statistics today, in particular about list to sale price ratio, your average days on market, and the list to how many homes do you list versus how many do you actually sell. Then we're going to compare those numbers to the market and or your competition, and we're going to go over the market statistics of, I think everybody should know when they go on a listing appointment, or even if you're talking to a buyer, how many months of inventory is in that particular area that you're working in right now, and what does that mean, right? Is it a buyer's market, seller's market? So we'll go over that. What's the average days on market for the market, not just your personal production, and what's the average market to list price ratio for the market? And then if you have and then we're gonna go really fast on the other numbers like KPIs. There's a key performance indicators. They're lagging and there is leading ones. We'll talk about those, ROI and tools that are and resources that are available. Okay, let's dive in. And how do we calculate the numbers? So I think one of the most important numbers is when you meet with the seller is your list to sell ratio. In other words, what percentage of the listings that you actually take do you sell, right? I mean, what's the average days on market for your listings? How long do people are people in limbo until they know, well, yeah, I actually sell my house, or I didn't sell my house, right? And most important for most sellers is what's your list price ratio to sales price ratio? In other words, how well do you price your property, right? And how much can the seller rely on the price that you give them so they know how much to take to the bank, right? Because that number oftentimes determines on what they're going to buy next and things like that. Renee?
Sorry, I'm just answering Kimberly's question. She asked sell personally, and yeah, these are for your numbers.
Yeah. So what is the what percentage of, it's super easy to do it. Like you go, right, in your MLS, if you are in your CISU or in your CTE or your spreadsheet, and you just look, how many listings did I take this year and how many did I sell? And hopefully that's pretty close to 100%, because then that already sets you way up aside from the market. And then when you know who you're up against, right? Sometimes it's as simple as just asking the seller, hey, Mr. Mrs. Seller, I'm so excited to come out and show you today how we get your home sold and get you to Colorado Springs. Out of curiosity, are you interviewing any other agents, right? And then they're gonna say yes, no, and I said, do you mind me asking who it is? And then they oftentimes a little bit hesitant and say, oh, I don't really want to sell. I said, well, normally I'm the top agents competing for the same business, so I'm up against this and this person. Normally, is it any of those people? And then maybe they tell you, and if they don't, you go into the MLS and you pull that number for your competitors, so you know exactly what you're up against before they even go out there, or maybe they were already out there, right? So
So in our market, we have a decent number of listings that expire or cancel every day, actually.
Yeah.
So Kimberly was asking if this is your own, like if you sell your own listings, and this is just period if your listings sell. So if you don't get to that point where your listing comes off the market and somebody like me calls and says, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I noticed your home came off the market yesterday as a canceled listing, and when do you plan on interviewing the right agent for the job of selling the home? So the number of your listings that don't get to that point. So if you sell 9 listings and you took 10, you'd have a 90% list to sell ratio. That one listing that cancels or withdraws or expires, that would be your failed to sell listing. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And then I want to address the new agents, right? So if you work for a team or you are on a team and you don't have your own statistics, use your team's statistics, right? And then
Or the brokerage.
Me or us, you say we or us, right? We sell 100% of our listings. So this year, I'm proud to say, although it wasn't a whole ton of listings that we did sell, but we sold 100% of our listings. So why is that important for the seller? I mean, they're making plans, right? They're relying on you, that you do what you say you're going to do so they can buy that next home or can move across country or downsize or do whatever they want to do. So if you know the number for the market, or if they don't tell you your competitor, pull them for the market. And oftentimes, if you look at the whole MLS, you get way too many returns. That's just a technical issue. So just narrow it down for the market that you are in right now. So if it's Colorado Springs, then you just pull it maybe for just the subdivision within Colorado Springs if you get too many returns, and say, on average in Colorado Springs, 90 or 80% of the homes sell. I sell 100% of my homes. So you have a 20% better chance of selling with me, or almost a guarantee of selling unless you went with the average agent. So that's kind of how you use that number, right? Because just knowing the number doesn't help you if you don't know how to use it. So next slide, Renee. We just talked about the list. So hold on, Renee, if you went too fast.
That was your average days on market.
Okay, that's the average station market. And that's super simple. So what we do, we run basically a search in MLS on all our listings that we sold over the year. And then we just run a one-line report, and that gives us our average days on market, right? You don't even have to, I don't know if you can see it with my background on. I think you can see it. Anyways, so for us, that's 18 days right now. On average, our listings sell in 18 days. And there's some that sold in 6 days. There's some that sold in 45 days. But not one of them took longer than 45 days. And again, the average is 18 days. So you use the number that sounds the best, of course, right? Because the statistic, you believe that statistic that you manipulated yourself.
And here's the fun thing about statistics, right? Like they can always tell the story that you want them to. And
Right.
I'm not saying be sneaky, but we have an appraiser here locally, and he runs statistics for us all the time, which is awesome because then we can just, pull from Ryan's numbers. And he wrote a blog the other day and said, we have half the number of short sales than we had October of 2023. It's 1. Last year we had 2, but it's still half. So the stats can always tell the number that you want them to tell. Again, don't be sneaky, but
That's right.
it is what it is.
Exactly. So move on, Renee. So then use that number, because every seller has a plan, right? Again, they're not just selling because they want to sell, they want to move, or they want to downsize or whatever. So I like to use this quick scenario here. So if days on market, you play an integral part, right? So today, your seller needs to sell on July 1st. You being able to accurately report your days on market and your personal days on market will allow the seller to come up with the proper timing and a contingency plan, because maybe they're going to sell faster than they need to. And then you have to have a plan for that, right? Let's say today is March 1st and your average days on market is 12 days. We just said ours is 18, but I did that a while back. So 12 days, and the average length of an escrow is right now actually 21 days, right? Most of the times. But let's go with 30 days. And for us, it's when we get the listing signed and everything is dialed in, it still takes us about 7 days to get the listing live, right? You got to do minor repairs, you got to do cleaning, you have to send a photographer out, you have to do staging, all those things. So if you are listing on March 1st, you go on the market on March 8th, you'd be in contract by March 20th, and by February 20th, April 20th, you're closed. But your seller doesn't want to move or can't move until July 1st. So what are you going to do now? So if you do it this way and you address this elephant, right, in the house, I bet you're probably one of the very few agents that actually bring that stuff up. Because most people figure that out while they're in escrow, and then they're going to scramble and they're going to say, oh shit, what are we going to do? Right? I cannot take that offer. That's too fast of a close. I need to. So here are a few solutions, right? What can you do? Book the timeline, find a housing temporary, negotiate a longer escrow, take the listing later. I would never take the listing later. Take the listing when you can, right? and put it on an off-market list. Renee, talk about our off-market list really quick.
Yeah, I mean, you guys have a good size group too, and it sounds like a lot of people are in Colorado. So our EXP, well, not just our group, but we have people that are in Sacramento that are listing heavy. We've built an off-market list that we all share with each other. And it's just a Google spreadsheet that people, like don't always go in and edit and update. But like I have a listing appointment I'm going to go on tomorrow, and they live in the snow. I'm sure you guys can relate to that. We don't have as much snow, but this one's up in the foothills a little further. And I'm like, I don't think that we should go on the actual MLS until after snowy season. They're super remote. It's definitely in the mountains. And so I said, let's just, like get up there. If your timing is okay with us selling during the snowy season, we'll just put you on the off market list. We'll market it, on Zenlist. We'll market it to the different pages. I'm sure you guys have Facebook groups that are like, hey, we have this listing, seller would sell now, but we don't want to have that days on the market creep up and have it make this listing look stale. So we put them on the off market list, and our group is selling, anywhere from 2 to 10 houses a month off of that list before things even go on the market. So it's pretty powerful to be able to tell a seller, like, we can market you without having it, be on the market. So you don't have to have it be pristine, every day of the week for the next, 6 months while we wait for the snow to melt. Like we can be doing this selectively. So.
But I think that the message here is get the listing signed, because things change, right? People change, they run into a Christmas party and another realtor that becomes their best friend, but now you have the listing. And if you didn't, then nobody is going to have the listing. So don't wait.
That's really important. I think that to land on that, I mean, because I've had that happen before early on, whatever. And, we're just not ready. And so you'd put it out. And next thing you know, you follow back with them, 3 months later, because that's what they said to do. And they sold the house a month ago. Yeah. Or it's already on the market. Like, what the heck, but you have to learn from those mistakes. Here's a way to avoid it, for
it
sure.
Hurts.
That happens, Yeah. I love the idea of the list, what you're talking about, Renee, like getting that list together, like a spreadsheet, like, whatever, it's like all this work together on that. Here's these listings that are coming, whatever. And to be able to get those sold and even some interest there before that happens, before they go on the market.
Using it at open houses too, to, like really solidify to the buyers that you're the agent of choice. So we're not showing them the list, like here's the houses that are for sale.
And we never share the list, right?
Yeah, we don't share the list with them. We just show them the list. Like, hey, all of these homes are available and not on the market, and they'll probably get sold off market. Do you want to work with somebody on our team that has access to this list? Or do you want to just, work with any Joe Schmo that's only dealing with what's on the MLS? It really is a point of differentiation, even on the buyer side.
That's powerful, and a great tool for your listing appointment. When you go in there to get the listing, here's what we do. Like we have this in place also.
And agent attraction, to be quite frank. Like we have agents that are like, I want to be part of that list. Well, join our group.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. Very cool.
And then obviously some more traditional solutions would be negotiate a longer rent back or a rent back, right? Problems are there with the loan. If it's more than 2 months, you're going to potentially run into a problem for the buyer. You're limiting the buyer pool. Your seller may not want to pay that new buyer's PITI, right? Mm-hmm. Because they're used to their $300,000 mortgage payment. And when they now have to pay the new buyer's cost of having that new loan of $500,000-$600,000, they just doubled the expense. So there's problems, right? But I think that off-market list is a great way of getting the commitment from the seller, getting it started to market, and bridge that gap if you have to bridge a gap. Next slide.
What else have you guys seen? We've got on here to brainstorm what other solutions for that, timeline potential issue would you guys see?
Any thoughts, anybody? Tracy, what do you think? You're always on this. Do you have any thoughts on that? Or Kathy?
I was multitasking.
Go ahead, Tracy.
No, I was saying I was multitasking. I'm sorry. What was the question?
Oh, sorry.
That's okay. I was just asking, what kind of other solutions have you guys worked out with, a longer time period where the seller's not ready to go per se, until July, but they, they sell in April. Just if you had any other ideas besides what we put on here.
You guys have it pretty much covered from what I can see.
We've definitely done the rent back. I mean, many
We
times.
have to,
We have
yeah.
to be careful with that a little bit, but no, that's
Yeah.
that's
think
worked out.
My
well.
personal least favorite ones is a longer escrow or not getting the listing signed. So just try to stay away from those.
Yeah.
Yeah, too many things go wrong with long escrows. We have one that, like, we've sold the house. This is the third time, and I think third time's a charm. Like, and it's a 15-day escrow. I'm like, let's do it. Yes, let's just get her done. Get paid before Christmas. Woo!
We have a
And
house
I
that
think that that's something good to point out, especially for newer agents on here. You want to just get it as closed as quick as possible. And if your client, and just negotiate, I mean, I do a rent back often in that situation, because I want to make sure it's closed. I don't want to extend the closing to when my client needs to be moving out. So I want to make sure we get closed and then negotiate in the negotiations for them to rent it back. And like I think it's a good point, and you have to prepare your client for it, saying, hey, you might rent back for higher than what your current payment is right now, but it's convenience for you to not have to move 2 times, and just make sure that they understand that, at the time that that you're going down that path, because early on, I didn't do that one time, and they were mad because, the new buyer's payment was going to be a lot higher than what their payment was. And obviously the new buyer is going to want to have their payment covered.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And
There's just
people
too
don't
much
think
that
about
can-
what can happen. I mean, it's not very often, but we've had people cancel the day of escrow because they came back from their doctor the day before and they got a really bad message from the doctor, and they just walked away from the deposit and said, I'm not going to be able to buy the house.
Yeah.
There's so
lose
many
jobs, people
things.
die, like,
There's so many things that
anything
can go
happen.
wrong. I mean,
Yeah.
we've had that too. We just had one go into contract this weekend, and that was the situation. They were like, they could close it December 9th. But then they were like, well, yeah, but we're not really ready. All this kind of stuff came up. Let's close it on December 21st or something. No. Let's close it on the 9th. We can do the rent back. We do this all the time. Whatever. Like, let's get it done. And to explain that, even to the sellers, it was the sellers kind of pushed on the delay. I'm like, there's so many things that could go wrong in those 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Christmas time, all of a sudden they go out and they open a new credit card at a store to get something, and the whole deal falls apart.
Yeah.
And now we're back on the market. I mean, there's just so many things that can go on there. Their agent continues. They don't shut off the home search. More homes keep coming to them. All of a sudden they see, oh wow, look at that one. Let's go drive by that one. Next thing you know, they're wanting to look at that. And now they'll figure out a way to get out of your deal because they want to go buy on that other house. There's so many things that could happen there. You want to get that thing closed as quick as possible.
And the best part for the seller is they have the money in the bank. They don't have to pray that it stays together, right?
So true.
So list price to sales price ratio, I think that's, aside from the days on market and how likely are you to sell your listing, the number one number, right? So, and that's so super easy to do. You look at what is your list price when you listed a home, what did it sell for, and then you do the math, right? And hopefully it'll be very close to 100% or over. Ours right now, I just pulled it, is 102.32%. Now that doesn't sound so exciting because you always hear, everything sells above asking with 15 offers, and I don't know how it is in your market, but guess what? That was 2 months ago. That was in August when interest rates dipped in the 5s. Right now, at the end of the year, with interest rates in the 7s, not so much anymore. And why do I know that? Because I pulled the numbers for the market itself. And Renee, you want to take a guess? Because I haven't shared those numbers with you.
It's probably 97%.
Yeah, 97%, actually 99% if it sells in the first 30 days.
Oh,
If it sells between 31 and 60 days, it's 96.57%. And if you take all days, right? We had, for Eldorado Hills, we had 95%. So in other words, you can go with the average Joe Schmo agent, and so for 95% of your asking price, you're at $1 million, right? So you're selling for $950. So selling for $50,000 less than what you hoped for, or you could sell with the Friedrich team and you're selling for $20,000 more, which is better for you, right?
It's a good script, honey.
But if you don't do that, right? And then first of all, chances are that the guy that comes next after you doesn't even know that number. Not even for the market, much less for themselves. Maybe they know it for themselves, but not for the market and how to position themselves for that. So my point is, it's super easy to obtain those numbers. Again, if you don't have your own numbers, use those for your team, right? And again, hopefully they're better than what you're comparing them to. If not, then obviously I wouldn't bring it up.
No, it's big. Is this making sense for everybody? Just a thumbs up. Like I just pulled up it's funny, I pulled up a slide from a really old listing presentation that I've still got on my computer. Again, but I have this spelled out in there, here's the average, here's the average list to sale price ratio, for sale by owners, 90.1%. Here's the average, sale price ratio for across the board in Colorado Springs, 97.1. And I figured out our numbers at the time of that presentation was 99.4. And, and back in the day, this is way back, on a $200,000 house, that's $3,800 more in your pocket if you list with me. Like, ways to use those numbers and statistics, like, here's our average, we just figure that up. Here's the market average. Here's for sale by owner. You don't even want to think about that, because here's how much less you're going to get if you do that. And you could put all that into a presentation like that, and next thing you know, like, okay, you're the expert.
Right.
We're signing with Jeff. We're going to list with Jeff. That's what happens. Days on market, same thing. For sale by owner, whatever. Here's the average days on market in Colorado Springs. Here's our average days on market from the last 3 months of homes that we've sold. It's this many days less. How many less payments do you have to make? How much more money in your pocket if you list with me? So to use these kind of numbers, to win the business. Here's what can happen with that. So, I'm sorry, I don't mean to butt in.
No, that's great.
But that's what we do. You get good at these numbers. Yeah.
And just so our average days on market for the market right now is 60 days. So our 18 days sound really good, right? Because again, a lot of things can go wrong in 60 days. The market could completely shift, even more so, right?
Yeah.
Okay, here's how you get those numbers. I don't know what kind of MLS system you use. We use Rapatoni. It's very user-friendly. You can run so many different reports, but any MLS that you use will probably let you run your statistics on your listings, on market statistics. If not, there's probably board numbers available that the board publishes. And if you don't have access to any of it, there's things called like brokermetrics. I don't know if the Colorado broker has access to that. I'm not sure if we do in California, but we typically don't even use that. We go to our title rep and ask them, hey, can you run the numbers for this agent or for this agency, right? If I know, okay, I'm going to be up against Remax instead of another EXP agent, and then they don't want to give me the name. So there's several sources where you can get those numbers pretty easily, right? Market by the numbers. Importance of knowing the markets, right? So let's skip over that, Renee.
Okay.
And then months of inventory, just in general, in the past we would say anything less than 6 months of inventory is a seller's market. And then 6 to 9 months is inventory is a neutral market. We have not seen anything other than a seller's market by that definition for I don't know how many since COVID, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you hear that all the time, and that's why prices keep going up, especially in our area. People sit on the sidelines waiting for interest rates to come down while purchase price or while the prices for homes keep creeping up. Do they keep creeping up at 6 and 7 and 8 and 9% a year over year? No, they creep up, but they're still creeping up, at least in our area, by 2-3%. So you being able to articulate to your client, especially the buyers now in this case, right? And saying, okay, you know what? Don't wait for interest rates to come down. If you can afford to buy the home right now and you feel comfortable with the payment that you have with buy the home now at today's prices and refinance in a couple years or next year or whenever. Or if you can't refinance, you know you can afford the payment, at least you are taking part of the appreciation that takes place in the market, right? And
Is it Warren Buffett? Don't wait to buy real estate and wait.
yeah, very good
Yeah.
saying, right?
Yeah.
And then keep in mind that this depends also based on price point. You may have a buyer's market in the luxury market, right? Because there's very few buyers and lots of inventory, and you may have 13 months of inventory there. But if you drop it for the bread and butter in our area, that's between $600,000 and $700,000, right? If you have that home, you definitely have a buyer, you have a seller's market, right?
Mm.
So by pricing, and especially when you're at the cusp of one price point to another, and where you would be entering the luxury market versus not, just keep that in mind when you're looking at the numbers too, and say, okay, if we price it just $50,000 below, we're gonna open it up to so many more buyers. And again, I guarantee you, most agents don't even talk about that, right? So I, for instance, ran the numbers here for our market area, and I looked at it. So we have one listing that's at 4 million, between 4.75 million and 5 million listed right now. And then we have one listing that's listed between 7 and 8 million. But guess what? The most expensive home in the last 30 days that sold was at 2,749,999. So what does that tell you about the guy that's priced at 2,750,000, $1 above the most expensive listing that sold? He has an infinite number of months of inventory because nobody's spending more than 2.75 million, right? So having that conversation with your seller and say, hey, let's drop it down to 2,700,000 and get you sold next month. Big insight if you have that difficult conversation with the seller, right?
And even with low inventory right now, I think we're, at least for our market, we're seeing that it feels a little bit more balanced or more like a buyer's market, just simply because of the interest rates. So
Right.
buyers, there's very few buyers. So even though we have low inventory and low month supply of inventory, we're still seeing the buyers kind of driving that ship because there's not that many of them that are willing to jump in at over 7% interest rate.
Right. Oh, there's one thing I want to go back to. You don't have to go back on this on the slide. When you know the market's average list to sales price ratio, and I shared earlier that the market is at 95%, right, on average for our market, share that with the buyer. Don't tell him, but print it out and show them, because that eliminates the buyer that wants to come in at 10% below asking price when the home has been on the market for 7 days, saving you a lot of headache, right? Because it's just not going to happen. Especially if the home has been on the market for 7 days.
We do that in the buyer consultation. We pull up
Yeah.
the price point that they're looking at and just show them, again, showing, not telling, hey, look, in your price point in this area, you know, our sellers are getting between 98 and 99% of their asking price, especially if it's, you know, less than a week on the market. So let's not, excuse me, let's not insult the sellers or, you know, insult the agent's intelligence that they didn't price it correctly. Like, let's be strong. If this is your house, let's be strong and go in with the right offer. I might have to go get water, you guys. Sorry. I'll try not to.
Don't, because I don't have control over the.
Right. I know. That's what I was just thinking. So.
Okay.
Here we go.
Months of inventory continued. So we just talked about that, right? That different price points may have different inventory months. Keep going,
We
Renee.
just talked about all of this. We could just skip ahead.
Yeah. There you go. Oh, we just talked about that too. So.
Oh my gosh, we're ahead of the slide, you guys.
Yes. Well, we have to hurry up because we want to make sure that you get your part done. So KPIs, key performance indicators, like I said earlier, the leading and lagging ones. The leading ones, those are the ones that you can influence, right? So this is the number of calls you make, how many open houses you do, things like that. The lagging ones is looking back and see the results that those activities produced. They gave you insight too, right? For instance, and so some of them are how many dials do I have to make to talk to 10 people, right? I mean, it used to be when I first started, I knew I had to do 120 calls with the motor dialer, which took me about an hour to talk to 10 people. That's a good number to know, right? Now it takes me almost double because people don't answer their phones anymore. Everybody has the spam filters on, right? Our number comes up as spam sometimes. Now I would probably add a number. How many people do I have to text to get a text back? That would be a good number to know, right? How many people, and then you can go from there. Then how many contacts do I have to talk to get the listing appointment or to get a buyer appointment? And then keep going, Renee. And once you know those numbers, then you can do something with the numbers. For instance, if it takes you 100 contacts to an appointment, maybe you need to work on your scripts, right? If it takes you 100 calls to get 10 contacts, maybe you change the time of day you make the calls. Maybe you start calling in the evening when people are home, call on the weekends, right? Same with door knocking. If nobody answers the door, maybe door knock Saturday mornings, Sunday afternoons, instead of 9 to 1. Now, I mean, I don't know the number exactly, but there's a huge number of households with double incomes, right? So 20 years ago, lots of the one of the people, I don't want to be I want to be politically correct. Not always the wife has to stay at home, but back then the wife took care of the kids and stayed at home, so there was a better chance for somebody to open the door because there was somebody home. Now everybody has to go to work, so nobody's at home.
That's why all the Utah agents can go door knocking, because there's a way higher percentage of people that have,
Right.
like one income families versus in California, it's just not feasible. Like you just can't have a single, I mean, you can, I shouldn't say that. Our community, there actually were a lot of stay-at-home spouses, whether it was the wife or the husband. We just never got to be one of those. Actually, I couldn't be one of those. Like that is not my jam. So.
Yeah. And then if you go on 10 listing appointments, but you only take 3 listings, maybe you should work on your listing and presentation, right? So those are the numbers that you need to know for yourself, not so much share with necessarily, a consumer.
Yeah, don't share with your sellers that you're on the listing appointment. Hey, I only take 3 of these out of 10, so whatever,
Are you the one?
Don't share that.
Don't do that. Okay, Renee. So, and then I think a big thing, our industry, so many people sell to us. Like there's a whole industry selling to us stuff, crap, right? We used to buy Zillow leads when it was not Zillow Flex, when it was a flat fee. And and just in general, Zillow is a inventory-driven model. In other words, if you have low inventory, that model does not work because you have no product that you can put in front, or not enough product that you can put in front of the consumer for that model to work for an agent, right? And regardless, now Zillow went to a Zillow Flex anyways in most marketplaces, so it's only a few chosen ones get to play with. But there was a time where we had a 4-to-1 ratio. So for every dollar we spend on Zillow, we would get $4 back. Why would I not do that, right? But you need to know the number. And then we stopped using Zillow when that number went down. And then now every time they ask us, they say, well, there used to be that time where we would do 1 to 4, and now I'm not getting, like we just stopped playing with Realtor.com because we spend $1,000 on Realtor.com a month, and we got 0 business out of it. So when it became time to renew, I could have an educated conversation with the sales rep and say, you promised this didn't happen. I'm not in the business of throwing money away. If you want to give me 3 months free and see if you can do better, I'd be all for it. But I'm not going to up my spend or renew even if I have zero business. And Renee is so awesome, right? So she's been calling people, and we have those numbers from the past. So she told the sales rep, it's not a conversion issue. I know how to convert if I get the right people in front of me, right? It's a lead issue in this particular case. So, but you need to know the ROI, right? When a big part of our business is agent-to-agent networking and referral.
We love sending checks, you guys.
Yeah, we do. So
And we're in Sacramento.
That's a nice shameless plug. But we do. And so we keep track of how much money do we spend on EXPCon, how much money do we spend on Tom Ferry. We go there with a marketing piece to promote ourselves as the go-to referral agent in our area. That also costs money, right? We do all of those things, and we keep track of it. And our ROI is for that stuff pretty much through the roof, right? I mean, you can even throw in coaching, because if you do coaching with a Tom Ferry or a success coaching or anything, that you go to those events, make sure that you network with them and that you work on getting referrals. So at least that pays for your coaching, right?
Mm.
So I think that's it for me, Renee. I left you with 5 minutes.
Oh my gosh. These are some other resources that Mike had put together. We talked about KPIs and leading and lagging indicators, 4 disciplines of execution. It's been around for a while. If you haven't read that book, though, it's a really good one. And then we use CTE to keep track of our numbers. When I actually give Mike my numbers, this was so good for us. Thank you so much, Jeff, for inviting us, because even just putting the slides together, I was like, oh, we kind of got away from that. Oh, shoot, we kind of got away from that. So whenever you get a chance to teach, just know that as the teacher, you're probably going to get way more out of it than any of the people that you're teaching to. So always raise your hand when somebody asks you if you can do some training or share. So
Renee, Jeff wants to say something.
oh yeah.
I just want to hit one thing, and I appreciate everything you guys are sharing. I think it's important for all of us, especially like newer agents that are on here, a couple, 2-3 years, whatever. Like, you're building a business. Treat it like a business. Run it like a business. You've got to know your numbers. Most agents don't know their numbers. They have no clue on their numbers. So there's so much money that goes out. It's easy we get calls every day. You got emails in your inbox right now. They're trying to sell you something. It happens all the time. Whatever. And you've got to get good at that. I remember back in the day when I first started, it's like, oh, wow, that looks great. And, $300 for that and $500 for that. And, $300 a month for that. But yeah, if you only make one sale, you're going to cover the whole cost. Next thing you know, you look at it and you got thousands of dollars going out, but what is the return? And you got to look at that. I learned it in coaching early on with Craig Proctor. He was always about testing things, here's the same postcard. This one goes to this area. This one goes to this area. This one has this domain. This one has this domain. Which one responds better? That one got 3 times the response. Great. Double down on that one. Stop doing that one. Just cut it off, because you're throwing money out. Like, there's just ways to work things with, all kinds of stuff. QR codes. You could have different QR codes for different things, and just, it might be the same thing, but test it. Put it side by side. Know your numbers, and it can save you. You can just be that much more profitable. Who cares if you make $300,000 in commissions, but you spend $200,000 on just dumb stuff? And people do that in this business all the time. It's so easy to go there. Yeah. But when it comes to your own business, like listings and buyers, know the numbers. You can become the expert in your market. To where there's just you have those numbers down, and you got that in a presentation. They know what you're talking about. They're hiring you. They will work with you. You're the one we got to go, because agents don't do this stuff. Yeah. And so anyway, really good stuff. I appreciate what you guys are sharing.
Quick pro tip: when people tell you and sell you something and they say it's only $50 a month, figure out what it's a year, and then the number sounds out. Now it's $600 a year. Would you be spending $600 on the
He does that to me all the time,
right? So just figure out what it is a year, and then make the decision based on that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good stuff.
Okay. So this is the part I love, our clients. So we make a big deal out of literally every single thing, you guys. We bought a red carpet a few years ago. We're on our second red carpet because it got so worn out, but make a big deal out of Key Day, celebrate the successes with your clients. And we just try to love on our clients, and that's a good portion of our business. So, and they love us, yay. So this business is tough, right? Like everybody sees Selling Sunset and they think it's all glamorous. But it can be very fun and rewarding. I actually had like a Selling Sunset moment last week. If you guys want, and I have this coming up, but follow us on social. We have a new gal that's helping us do more and like document more. And anyway, but most of the time it's not very glamorous. It's not like it can be a grind, but if we're working with people that we love, it makes it a lot more fun and rewarding. So how to do more business with the people that already know you. Hey, raise your hand if you like leaving thousands, tens of thousands of dollars on the table. Anyone?
I hope nobody.
So stay in touch with the people that already know, like, and trust you, right? So communicate on a regular basis. Our goal is 1 mail piece per month and 2 to 3 emails per month. Check in once a quarter. I'm so like guilty of this. Like I will call people I don't know and call the expireds and do circle dialing and all of the things. And then I'm like, oh, I haven't checked in with our, top 50 this month. Like, call the people that already know you. They want to help you. They want to see you successful. We've got social. It makes it so easy to know what's happening with our clients and our friends. Like and comment, engage with them. And then, just be strategic about when you're calling people, like bring up the big life events. Like, oh my gosh, I saw that, Sophia just, was doing the beekeeping thing down at college. Like, that's crazy. What is she up to? Like, how did she get in that class? If you see something unusual with a client, like check in with them on that. Cause if they shared it, they're excited about it. Right. So when they see that you're excited about it, they're going to remember that and the referrals will go up, I promise. Have in-person meetings with your top referring clients and friends. Really, truly, like the phone calls, the emails, everything's great, but nothing beats that face-to-face, belly-to-belly interaction. And then this is my favorite part because I like to have fun. So host in-person events with your sphere and clients. It's a great way to get them networking with each other. I have some pictures coming up. We do an Oktoberfest every year because you guys may have caught the accent that Mike has. That's one of the reasons that I was attracted to him. I'm a sucker for a good accent. He's from Germany. And so about 10 years ago, we started throwing an Oktoberfest every year for our clients. And it was so cool this year. I looked around and our contractor was there and he hasn't done business with us yet. I know that he will eventually. But looking around, I was like, he fixed their fence, he fixed their kitchen, he fixed their garage. Like just knowing that you're not just getting business from your sphere, but you're connecting people so that they all do better as well. Like it's just so rewarding. So this is Oktoberfest. We also took our clients out to a ball game. So we reserved, I think it was like 30 or 40 tickets and took them to our we have I don't even know if it's AA or AAA. Anyway, the Giants feeder team is here in Sacramento. So we took everybody out to Realty Field. It's a very small, intimate ballpark. And so super fun, no bad seat. We did an event at a local tile shop where one of our clients worked, and we invited contractors so that our clients that were thinking about remodeling could go and ask them questions like, hey, what is this? What is that? It actually went over really well. And that was like right before COVID, and we haven't done that since. She doesn't work there anymore, so I don't know how we would do it. But anyway, people really enjoyed that. Mike's an amazing cook, so we have clients over and he cooks for them, and just anything you can do, I think, to really make it more fun. So building and growing your database. We have a list of 143 questions. I just grabbed the first 16 and threw them on here. But when you're trying to think of who should be in my database, everybody should be in your database. And then obviously ask permission and, make sure that you're giving, valuable information or items when you're reaching out to them so that they want to be on that list. But if you guys, I think I have our info on here, but if not, Jeff knows how to get in touch with us. If you want this list, we got it from Tom Ferry or somebody at some point, like the 143 questions. And then, oh, wow, that's a lot. So you want to have name, phone number, email address so that you can properly communicate with them. And then outside of those 143 questions, going to parties and events. don't be that person that's running around the room just handing out your business cards. Like nobody likes that person. And if you're having meaningful conversations with people and then just doing some follow-up, like, thank you note or nice to meet you. And then ask permission, like, hey, I'd really love to keep in contact with you. Is it okay if I add you to my email list? Sometimes I send a deal of the week. Sometimes we send, like whatever it is that you're sending, but ask permission to stay in contact and focus on making connections with people that are in industries that could potentially send you multiple clients per year. So attorneys, financial advisors, lenders, obviously, always look to add value to them so that they'll be excited to hear from you. My favorite for the longest time, like I love to give back. And so volunteering in the community, I was on a nonprofit board for a lot of years with the Junior League of Sacramento. And it not only feels good to give back, but we've always got a good amount of business, especially when I was more involved. And like actually, going to the meetings and showing up because people will inevitably ask you, how's the market? And then if you're still, like wanting to grow, ask the people that you know who you should know. There's a really good book that I put at the bottom, Friend of a Friend, and it talks about our networks and how connected we really are. And I just find that I have more fun doing business with people that I already know than with strangers. And we get pretty lucky with the strangers we do business with too, that they all tend to be pretty awesome. But you've all had that client where you're like, oh my gosh, lose my number. So when you're already working with people that you like and that like you, it just makes it far more rewarding. Here comes Mike. Oh, I got my own.
No,
Oh, he's so
there's one.
nice. Look, you guys, I think I'll keep him. So your top 50 are just the people that, like, when you see their name, you get excited to pick up the phone and call them or text them. I will say, like Mike alluded to earlier, people don't want to talk on the phone anymore. So really, kind of understanding that, like, how does your client want to communicate? And most of the time that is via text now. And I'll get to a point in a text conversation with somebody where I'm like, okay, this, like, we need to talk live in real life now. And I'll say, hey, do you have a minute? Can I give you a call? Because, there's a lot of tonality, of course, that gets lost on a text thread and just in the written word. But back to the top 50, these are the people that are your favorite folks, the people that are always referring you. The people that you're like, oh my gosh, I can't wait to go have happy hour with you. Like, let's get together. You should be talking to these people every single month. So we have a Google spreadsheet that we use for that has pull down menu where it's like, okay, I talked to them, or they came to a client event, or I actually had a closing with them, so that you can really keep track and see. And of course, the goal is that for all 50, you have something that you did with them 12 months out of the year. So, and then keep top grading your list. I looked recently and I was like, oh shoot, that person moved to Texas. Why are they still on my list? Like, I need to find a new person to go and replace that person. So always be top grading and going through the list. But really try to keep it at 50. If it gets beyond that, it's just hard to manage. And there was a coaching organization we were with a number of years ago. It's called Workman Success. I think Burl Workman has been at a handful of EXP events too. And if you look up top 50, and I can't think of the exact book, but not the 7 levels of communication, but they have an ebook on Workman Success that talks about the top 50 and systematically communicating with them. And they say that your top 50 should result in 86 transactions. I haven't seen that number, so that's still a goal of mine to get them to get there anyway. But this Michael Mayer book, The 7 Levels of Communication, that is golden. So grab that one. It's like a parable, so super easy read, but so many good nuggets in that book. And so now you've built your list. Obviously everybody, I shouldn't say everybody, but most people love their birthday. Like, we're all a little narcissistic. We all, like, we wouldn't get through life if we didn't have a bit of an ego and love celebrating ourselves. So, and we wouldn't be in real estate if we weren't a little narcissistic. Let's just be real. I'm not talking like, anyway, I won't go political, but so reach out to people on their birthday, send them a lottery ticket. Like, I'm so lucky to be in business with you, or, so lucky to have you in my life, whatever that is. anniversaries. Call the spouse if you know their anniversary and say, hey, I set up a dinner reservation for you just in case. And just little things like that just really show how much you care. Home anniversaries, this is so easy, you guys. If you start to do the red carpet thing and you post that on social media when somebody closes on their house, it'll just, Facebook will remind you, like, hey, Carrie's sister, oh my gosh, Patty, she just closed on her house 3 years ago, like 4 days ago. And so I just reshared and I was like, oh my God, Patty, it's been 3 years since you've lived next to your sister. Like, so excited. Congratulations again. It was so fun helping you and Aaron get in your home. And then they're like, oh my God, they remembered. And you didn't even have to remember. Facebook remembered for you. So lunches, happy hours. Like I said earlier, we have dinner at our house for some of our best clients and referral partners because Mike is a super good cook. So it's dangerous. He's so good. This is a lot of words, but these are just some other events and other touches that you can do. If you're having fun doing it, you're going to be much more likely to stick to it. So obviously we do that Oktoberfest that I was telling you about. We love to have parties, so that fits for us. Quarterly events, you could do happy hour, gratitude dinners, movies. One of my friends that lives outside Denver, she does a quarterly thing at Topgolf. Our Topgolf is super far away from us, and I am really terrible at golf, so that wouldn't be my thing. I wouldn't stick with it. But if you love getting out to something like that, like they have a membership you can join, and super easy peasy. And try to have one coffee or lunch or happy hour with each person at least twice a year. Some people send letters of the heart. That's not me, so I'm not going to do it. So again, just recognizing, like, what am I committed to? What am I going to have fun with? And then go all in on those things. We're going to do an Easter egg hunt. We have 5 acres. And so we've always done Oktoberfest since we moved into this property, but our kids are done with school. So we're not like slave to the school schedule anymore. We used to always go out of town for Easter, and now we don't have to do that. We can go, and the kids are, like still in school. We can go and not have to deal with other people's kids on our vacations anymore. Anyway, so we're going to do an Easter egg hunt at the property, and don't feel like you have to do everything. Just whatever you do, create a plan, be consistent, and remember to make sure it's fun so that you and your clients look forward to it. And that's it.
Awesome ideas. Jeff had to leave. He had an appointment to head to. But what final questions do you have? Thank y'all so much for just sharing all this information. And I saw as you were going through that, Renee, you have a Google sheet on I can't remember exactly what it was, right where you were. Do you know what I'm talking about? It was right there towards the end. The Google sheet.
Our top 50.
Yeah.
So this is our contact information. If you guys, hello at the Friedrich team actually goes to both Mike and myself. It looks like Friedrich team because it's German, and I'll give you all my German lesson one day. But it's spelled IE, not EI. So I'm going to stop sharing, and then I'll find that spreadsheet.
I found the Workman Success link. They want to get your information, so be aware of that. I'm going to put the link in here that talks about the top 50 and the ebook.
Oh, great. Thank you.
Again, you're going to have to put your information in, and then guess what? They're going to sell to you.
Yeah.
But I think for putting your information in, you may get access to that stuff for free. So.
Does anybody have any final questions for Renee or Mark? Is it Mike? Mike.
Mike.
Yeah.
Anybody? It was, Tracy said, good stuff. A lot of people are putting in the comments, great stuff, great stuff. So thank y'all again so much. And, we record this. So if you would like, we can send you a copy of this recording for yourselves. Would y'all like a copy of that?
Oh, that'd be great. Yeah.
Yeah. I'd be happy to send it out as soon as it processes. Just takes a few minutes, and then I'll shoot it over. Yeah, that's what...
This is that spreadsheet, you guys.
Yes.
So now you see just how much my spreadsheet is not filled in. And again, why this is a good exercise to teach other people, because then you go, oh my gosh, like you start pulling in your resources and you're like, I've been dropping the ball on that. So thank you for the opportunity to improve ourselves and get back to the basics of what we know works. So Thank you.
You know, and that's what I always say, the more you teach, the more you learn, you know, and it's just exactly what you said. I find myself whenever I teach on anything, it's, you know, we get all these great ideas and we might start them, but sometimes, you know, we may let things fall by the wayside. And then as we're teaching them and are reminded, it's like, oh, I need to get back on top of that. So
Mhm.
yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, if you will send that, did you just drop that one in the link as well?
No, because it's actually like data for our clients, but I think
Okay.
I can probably make a copy of it. So if anybody is interested in having that spreadsheet, I just put that email that goes to both of us. I put that in the chat. So
Okay.
email me and I will make a copy. And then just when you get the copy, just make your own copy. It's a Google spreadsheet. So, you know, people, if you don't make a copy and I've shared it with other people, then people are going to see your stuff.
So please, if you don't know what she's talking about, if you get a copy from them and you don't know what she's talking about by making a copy, please reach out before you start editing anything on that sheet. Yeah.
And
that's
then
it.
I think that we can probably make a copy or, you know, like make a template for you guys too on that off-market list of what our team's doing, because it's so powerful. And especially for newer agents that are holding some of our listing agents in our group, holding those listings open, they're getting really good success with closing buyers based on just having access to that
Fantastic.
off-market
Yeah.
list.
If you could just send both those things to Jeff, I think you've got you or Mike has his information. Then what we do, like I said, I'll send you this video, but then we also post it in our Freedom Team Workplace group. And so at the bottom of the video, after we post this in the group, we'll add those
Mhm.
couple of resources that you guys are graciously giving. Thank you
Cool.
for that. Yeah. Well, thank you again. Remember these guys, if you guys got anybody going to Sacramento, you know, they are just doing this, you know, as a give back. And that's just what's so amazing about EXP and our company and our collaboration, the way that we do. So if you got anybody moving that way, just be sure to reach out to them. I know they would love the referral. And tomorrow we'll be back at the same time, same link for Connect to Collaborate. We'll be opening up just for some Q&A and not Q&A, just for masterminding on anything you guys want to talk about. We can take this information that we learned today and, you know, break it down and mastermind a little deeper if you guys would like, or anything else. So see you guys back tomorrow at 10 o'clock Central Time, that is. Thank y'all again.
Awesome. Thank
Take
you
care.
guys. It was
Renee and
fun.
Mike.
Great to meet y'all.
Y'all have a great day, everybody. See you tomorrow.
Bye.
Bye.